We're live. Look at that. What's going on? Let me take a second before everyone files in here. Okay, so I'm not doing anything today. Kind of fucking around the house. But I decided that I'm going to make a batch of mead. And I figured it might be kind of fun to live it and show you guys some of the experiments that we're going to work on over at Allwisemeadery when we open. So, to kind of preface how we start, we're jumping into this boiling water real quick, dipping our whole naked body inside. No. We're boiling up some water, and then we're going to add our ingredients in. Honey is where we start, and these I actually want your guys' opinion on. These are the other things that we're playing around with today, which are, as you can see, squash blossoms. We got a lot of sunflower seeds. And our other thing is a bunch of lavender. So this is food grade lavender. So, depending on how we're feeling, we're going to make a mead based around those ingredients. Now, the sunflower seeds are a little bit weird. So I actually started making something like a tea, or just kind of a gross little water out of them. I shucked the sunflower seeds, and then I smashed them and put them in the water for a second. So, we're going to see how this tastes. See if it's actually delicious at all. I doubt it, but we're going to try and find out. Let's see if I can set this up real quick. Try and find out exactly what we want to make out of it. What's going on? Lois, right. What the fuck is going on? We're making some mead right now. Come join me, dude. And then at some point or another, I'm actually going to sign off of this live. And then I'm going to pop over to Allwisemeadery. So, hey, it's Gresh. Hey, man, fuck you. But yeah, so we're going to play around with some stuff here. Just for a couple of minutes, and then shoot over to the business account, Allwisemeadery, and the link is in my description on my Instagram page. So you should pop on over there and give it a go. But in the meantime, let's decide on these ingredients. I don't know if there are any chefs or anybody who have used these before watching, but do you know what I could do to these squash blossoms? Should I boil them? Well, let's just give them a taste, I guess, immediately, right? All of this stuff, by the way, was bought from the Union Square Farmers Market. So, you can see how just a little bit tastes. Oh, actually really good. Surprisingly sweet and delicious. So, actually, yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We're going to throw them in this boiling water, and then we'll turn that into our must. We'll see how that goes. Oh shit, there was a bug on there. I'm sorry, bug. You're done now. So, yeah, Ivcero Dominguez, I think that's your name, saw that you're making tacos with squash blossoms. Yeah, squash blossoms are fucking delicious, and a lot of people stuff them and make things out of them like that, which I find really good too. But for the sake of today, we're just gonna try and get this bug out. There you go, buddy. But we're gonna boil them up, so. And it's very important you guys know that whenever you cook something, you want to be safe, and you always want to have a partner by your side 24/7. Make sure that someone is looking out for your safety, of course. And Magnus is always looking out for my safety. It's not out of personal gain. It's not like he wants something to eat or anything. He really wants to make sure I'm going to be okay. So, let me put you guys up here. That won't work. So then the next thing that we're actually going to do probably after this is take these lavender, culinary English lavender blossoms, and we're going to essentially make a tea out of it before we turn it into a mead. And for those of you who don't know, generally mead takes, at the shortest amount of time, 2 weeks to brew if you have really fast yeast and a strong fermentation. But at Allwise, which is what the meadery that me and my business partners are opening, we usually brew for about 3 months minimum. We want to make sure that it's that kind of time frame. So these blossoms are definitely starting to look like spaghetti a little bit. Let's look at them again. Yeah, that looks a little weird. Okay, so we're going to set up here again. And if you guys have any questions about mead in general, just let me know. Again, I'm only going to be here on this live for like 10 more minutes, and then we're going to pop over to the Allwisemeadery account. So, our next step is to take our honey. This is 12 pounds of honey. It's from Tremblay apiaries, as you see. And it's goldenrod. And we're just going to make sure that that gets warm, because the warmer it is, obviously, the easier it is to work with. So I'm going to run it under some hot water. And for those of you who are interested, here is the actual, I'm typing this out. Here is the account that you guys can go to. And I'll type it again. You guys can go to that account, and in like 10 minutes I'll be there doing the rest of this over here. I just want to pop in and try it on this one first. So that's the name of it again. So Kitty, you asked what made me interested in mead. So a couple of different things. Primarily just wanting to get drunk in college without the use of an ID. So that was important to me. And also, so I've been a heathen for very many years of my life. And so through that, also I had an interest in mead and where that came from, and it's kind of tied in with the faith a little bit too. So I really had this interest in brewing as well. What's up, Brandon Ratland? And so I kind of just started messing around with mead, and actually Doug Brochu, who's one of my best friends and my business partner, is helping me make it. We started brewing together. Here, and I'll tag it again. So in a couple minutes, I'm going to bomb over to here, and you can access it from there. Okay, so our squash blossoms are looking a little saucy right now. And now we're going to try this. Look at it. This is sunflower seed water. I just want to see what it's like. We're going to find out. It's gross. We're not going to use the sunflower seeds. That shit sucks. It actually just tastes like salt and chalk. But the point is that it's always fun to go into the farmer's market and kind of taste out new ingredients. Like for sale today was this whole sunflower seed head, right? So when making mead in general, I like to stick to like a theme. And so for this, obviously, it's flowers and, just, I guess, blooming and a lot of flavors working in conjunction. Like I feel like lavender will work with squash blossom, which I thought maybe the seeds would even it out. But They're a little grody, so I don't think I'm gonna do that. Next time I'll also get them shucked, I think. Okay, so our honey is officially hot. Our squash blossoms seem to be done. So, I'll take these out. Oh, that is definitely warping that plastic real good. So I'm just going to throw these right in the sink. And the next parts we'll probably do on the Allwisemeadery account. Okay. Fuking 1D forever. Great name, by the way. Real solid. I usually go to the Union Square Farmers Market to get all my stuff. They have really fresh ingredients over there. And when we are shopping wholesale for stuff, we usually get it from there too. And I'm just trying to make a batch because I'm actually going to LA in September and October to do a little more filming. So I want to make sure that by the time that comes around, I have a batch made. Yeah, chocolate pockets. Lavender is going to be good, but the sunflower seeds is not good. That shit was not tasty. So we tried that, and we're over it. So now is the scary part. But as you can see, yo, Jack, what's going on, man? I'm making mead right now. And as you can see now, so after we added the squash blossoms, the actual, it's hard to see on here, but the actual color of the water is a little more golden. So it's a little, I think it's going to impart some of the flavors that we want in the mead. But let's add the honey now and fuck around with that. And this is the scariest part because this is a big slippery baby. And you can really, really fuck yourself up with a big slippery baby. So, you know, don't try this at home, kids. I don't know if you can see that, but that, again, is 12 pounds of goldenrod. Hunter Olin. What's up? We're making some mead. So, okay, our water is boiling, but I want to say that it's very important if you ever think about making mead to don't boil your honey. Because honey is naturally antibacterial. It has a lot of aroma that you lose when you boil your honey. So, make sure that you never do that. That's one of my grandpa tips for you guys. And so we're going to get every last bit of honey out of here. Now, Doug's not here making this with us, but if he was, he would tell me that we have to shake the baby. Now the baby's done. So, that's to get all the remaining honey out. And this, by the way, all of this experimentation is important for us at Allwise and what we're going to be doing. Because pretty much weekly, we're going to try and make new, interesting, or weird experimental batches. And when we make the weird experimental batches, all of them could potentially be for sale at one point or another down the line, if they're good enough. But we're going to have a kind of membership program for people who are interested in maybe in the industry and they want to taste this kind of stuff, that they come on down and they try our experimental batches before they're released in kind of a private tasting party program. Pretty much monthly. So that's going to be in the future. Distant future, that is to say. Okay, so we have put our honey in. We have boiled our squash blossoms. And now we have to take our lavender, and we're going to actually make a big tea out of that too. So the flavors really impart better once it's boiled down. Wookie asks, what's an interesting flavor you think you want to try? Like the wackiest? Well, I'll show you what other ingredients I bought today. So, this next batch that I make is going to be really fucking weird. And it's going to be, this is a lion's mane mushroom. So, I'm going to take this lion's mane mushroom and I'm going to puree it, and then I'm going to add garlic to it, and then make a mead out of it. It's going to sound kind of gross, because it's probably going to be really gross, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give it a go. You just got to do what you like. Some batches aren't going to work out. Sometimes you'll end up with a shitty batch, but sometimes you really surprise yourself. Like I made one recently that was a tobacco mead, and you threw some tobacco in it, and after that it tasted delicious. Katie Arabuli asked, do you have any secret ingredients? And the secret ingredient is my secret sauce, which obviously I can't tell you about, but you can guess. The other thing we got to do too is start the yeast packing. So before I do that though, I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to link in the chat right now where I'm going to go finish this live stream, and I'm going to go do it over on Allwisemeadery account. So if you guys want to jump over there and see the rest of this go down, we're going to be making the rest of this batch of mead from now to finish. So there's the account. I just linked it. It might be showing up for you in a second, but I'll go through all the other steps again and we'll talk about it all over again. But in the meantime, oh wait, how do I pin down my comment? Let's see. That's a good point. Either way, guys, my the Allwisemeadery account is in my Instagram description. So jump over there now and you'll see a live feed going very soon, a couple minutes. Peace. Welcome, my children. Welcome back. So, for those of you who are rejoining us on this account, how are you? It's probably going to be less of us over here, but that's okay. So right now, we're picking up from where we just left off. So, we added the honey into the boiling water, and now we're stirring it up, get it all mixed up well. And so, after this, I'm going to pour this mixture into the actual fermenter. And we're going to go with that fermentation for, like I said, 3 months. And to catch anybody up who might just start watching now, we are making mead, and we're making an experimental batch today. So it means really you kind of go in blind with ingredients and we find out what happens from here. So let's see. Okay, so our honey and water combination is mixed up now. Now, I also want to mention, so this is our fermenter. This is 5 gallons, and since we just do this at home right now, don't need much more than that for the batch sizes. It's like, it doesn't need much more than that. Unless you're looking to get really ham-skied on the weekend, which, you know, more power to you. So we're actually going to just pour this. As you can see, I have a funnel. And all this stuff is pre-sanitized, by the way. So I already set all this stuff aside to clean it, and that's obviously really fucking important. So you want to make sure that you do that beforehand and really sanitize everything you have, because if you don't, it could end up kind of ugly eventually down the line. So we'll see if that's hot, which it is. Genius. And I'm going to get to work pouring this in. Now, here's another thing you got to make sure when you're pouring ingredients in, like this, really hot stuff, is that you don't pour it all over your dog. because if you pour it all over your dog, he'll probably perish, and that's not what we want. So Magnus, get out of here. Go. Get Magnus, go. Get out of here. Okay. So now that he's gone, we're going to pour this in. So Connor O'Brien, yes, is mead fun to make? I find it very fun to make. I also find it very therapeutic, too, right? It's like a lot of different hobbies. Some people take them up for different reasons, but I find that I really like it. I didn't get it if mead is alcoholic or not. Sophia, yeah, mead is alcoholic. It depends on what kind of yeast you use and how much sugar you put in, but you can really get up to, like we get up to 14, 15% sometimes, which can really kick your ass if you're looking to get pretty drunk off of a couple glasses. 1D Addicts asks, what is mead? Mead is a honey wine. And so the reason I'm doing this live right now is because as you are here on Allwisemeadery, me and some business partners are opening up our own brewery in New York City. It's going to be in Williamsburg, and it's opening up in the next few months. So we're kind of just all preparing, and now we're just fucking around with an experimental batch because I still do it for fun on top of for business. So here goes nothing. So this is like a really nice golden, or like dark golden color right now, because goldenrod in general is a pretty thick and sugary honey for late in the season, and that's what we tend to use as our standard. So I'm going to pour out this sunflower grossness, and we're going to make a tea now out of the lavender, and see how it goes from there. I'm also thinking, what do you guys think of this idea? Lavender and lemon juice with honey. Sound good? I think it could be good. I might give that a try. So some people are asking how long mead takes to make. Well, in terms of preparation, like now, it'll probably be another 15 minutes. But in terms of how long it takes to ferment and stay good, that's another story. It could take 2 weeks. It could take 2 months. I don't age mine for anything under 3 months minimum. Okay, a lot of people are saying to do the lemon, so I'm gonna do it. Okay. So I think 2.5 lemons should be enough for 5 gallons worth. We always like to have a kind of low threshold of taste, and what I mean by that is a lot of breweries and meaderies and stuff like that will make beers or wines that are overcomplicating the amount of ingredients they have for a more profound flavor, when I don't think that that's actually how you should really brew or even cook in general. I think you should try and keep your flavor profile to as much of a minimum as possible, because when you do, it allows the consumer to taste it and really find the notes and its nuance. It brings out all of the flavor altogether. So Selma Ulrich, yeah, mead is the same as miot. You can call it a bunch of different names. I know, like, I know the French have hydromel as their name, but there's some of that too. Okay, so we're gonna start our tea here pretty soon. So I'm gonna start this again. Move this to the side. And we're gonna boil the lavender and the lemon juice together for probably like 5 minutes. So, do I eat pasta and pizza? Yes, but here's the thing, Basafi, and I'll let you guys in on a secret. So I'm not eating it right now. I'm actually on a diet right now, which is terrible, and I hate dieting, but it's because I have to get really ripped for a movie that I'm doing in January. So I have to get like fucking shredded, and I can't eat pizza and pasta anymore. So I'm just gonna stick with alcohol instead. Okay, so we have a lot of water, and we're gonna start this up again and start juicing our lemons. See how that goes. Would you ever go vegan? I was asked. Myself, I wouldn't myself for actual, I guess, nutrition value, and I know that there's a lot of studies saying that nutrition is actually better in some ends or another, but at least in my personal philosophy, you experience so much food and so much culture, especially within New York, but outside of New York City and outside of the United States too. And when you restrict your diet, and this goes for both food and drinking, you're actually taking place in a class system. And that sounds a little weird to say, but when you go to foreign countries, it's really hard to eat vegan. It's really hard to eat like keto. It's hard to eat paleo, right? These diets are really, they arise from a class system and an aristocracy of people choosing not to eat that thing rather than necessity. So I usually don't like to limit my diet. Now that being said, I do eat, and I'll show you my side of the fridge in here. I do eat predominantly green. So I have, kohlrabi here, a lot of different salads, yams, avocados, sauerkraut. There's a lot more lemons in there, but I also heads of lettuce, carrots. In general, I try to eat as lean as possible, and I try to eat as little amount of meat as possible. But I wouldn't go full vegan. That was a really long explanation, but okay. So we're gonna juice these lemons. And then I think we may actually even add the, to tell you the truth, Cindy, those aren't my avocados. Those are Doug's, and he likes to store them. I'm in a duplex. It's pretty cool. But he likes to store them in the fridge, which is a terrible way to hold avocados. I don't know. It's bizarre. Okay, that's one. What am I listening to right now? I'm listening to this band called Sheer Mag. It's pretty tight. Okay, so let's see. Thanks, Lauren. I'm gonna get ripped, brother. Okay, so our next couple of steps are obviously just getting this tea started. But since I'm not using wet yeast, which is one of the primary ingredients in mead, I'm going to also have to rehydrate my yeast. And that's fine to do. There's a lot of good stuff in rehydrated yeast. But when you own a professional brewery, I think you owe it to yourself eventually to start keeping your own yeast. And as a matter of fact, a long time ago, being a brewer, there actually used to be an occupation exclusively called yeast master, which was someone who all they did was cultivate and know how to breed yeast right. Now, that kind of went to the wayside eventually. Not many people do that anymore. But at one point in time, that was a thing. Okay. 2 lemons down. What kind of movie are you going to film? I can't tell you that. I'm sorry. I can only tell you that I am doing one. And the rest of it is a non-disclosure thing. So, sorry. They'll have to kill me if I say. But I have to get ripped. So for those of you who might just be jumping in now with us, so what we're doing is making an experimental batch of mead. And I'll put this in my mouth real quick and show you. So, this is going to be tea. We just added our lemons in it. Here's how our mead looks like so far. That's the honey, at least. So we put that in, and now we're brewing that. And the rest of our ingredients are right here. We're doing lemons and lavender, and we're going to turn that into a tea, and then add that in full to the must, is what it's called, eventually. And so I actually think I'm going to put the whole lemon rind in there too. Kind of get that last little bit. And now the thing about this kind of stuff is, and why I find it so therapeutic and I really like doing it, is because, you know, you kind of sit for 15, 20 minutes, and then you make something that you check on pretty regularly, but only really attend to it 3 months later. And that's pretty much it. Then you have about 5 gallons of alcohol to share with your friends. It's pretty tight. So mead, for those of you who are confused, is a honey wine. And that's what we're making today. And that's what this account is all about. This account, Allwisemeadery, is going to be the account for my brewery in Brooklyn. So if you guys are 21 and you're interested in coming down to taste some alcohol, I'll be there, Doug will be there, we can have a glass or two, and we can talk all about mead. Eventually, not now, but soon, in the next coming months, for sure. So, trying to get all of the lemon juice out. And really, the reason that we're not just throwing the lemons in and letting them ferment is because a lot of the times fruits, if you don't clean them super well, and even when they are cleaned super well, have a lot of wild yeast that's just laying dormant on the rind. And so that can make your mead actually turn sour. Because in terms of yeast, there's 2 different varieties. There's Saccharomyces, and then there's Brettanomyces. And Saccharomyces is what essentially all brewing yeast is made of, right? But Brettanomyces is another variety, and that's a wild yeast, right, like we were saying. But the wild yeast actually ferments sour. So I don't know if any of you have tried sour beers or lambics or things that are like wild alcohols, but those are all made with Brettanomyces, right? So those are all wildly fermented beverages. So that was a really sour fucking lemon. Okay. So, we're fooling around. When was the last time I combed my hair? Savage, dude. Leave me alone. Come on. Okay. Don't tell Doug, but we're stealing 1 lemon from him. Okay. Don't tell him. If anyone DMs Doug that I stole this lemon, I'm hunting you down personally. Drew, I did not go to culinary school. I've never gone. However, I'm a big foodie. So usually when I go to farmers markets and things, I understand. I'm up to date on how a lot of ingredients are being used in general, but I don't cook all that often. I really brew. That's kind of my thing. Doug, speaking of Doug, is a great cook. So I usually just let him do it, and he's like my in-house wife. So that's pretty nice. So we are almost done with squeezing our lemons now. So I don't know, actually, you guys are saying pin a lot. I don't know what that means. I'm relatively new to Instagram Live. I don't fuck around with this very often. So people have asked how I met Doug, who is my business partner at Allwisemeadery. Doug and I met on the Disney Channel, actually. Doug and I started talking about Team Fortress 2, and then we became friends, which is a video game. So We've been friends for very many years now, and we were also brewing at similar times, trying to get kind of different ingredients and different beers. He was staying more towards the beer side, yeah, I was kind of more towards the mead side. Someone was asking, will honey make it sour? Well, definitely, a little bit. But you'd be surprised, like, a lot of stuff ferments in a completely different way than it normally tastes when it's being cooked. So, when it's being cooked, generally you want to avoid super flavorful things like that. Like I just added, I'll show you now. I added 3.5 lemons. So, this is we're making this tea right now. So, Psychedelic Child asks, how do I learn so much about mead? Pretty much just experience. Like, I've just started fucking around. Mostly self-taught. And so now we're going to add the actual lavender. So I'll show you the lavender in the bag. There, we're looking at it. So now it's going in the pot. Now this is, let's see, 2 ounces, perfect. So 2 ounces is about how much I would use for 5 gallons in general, right? And kind of keep that. We're going to push all that into the water here. It actually smells really fucking nice. And which is great, because yesterday I made Atlantic cod, and that just the whole house has smelled like fish ever since. So this is a little better. And now actually, you can't really see it, but the water is like a really nice pink. Oh, there you go. See that? So that's cool. The smell is great. It looks great. Mead is great. Everything's great right now. I feel like the Bob Ross of mead.
Just have to have happy little accidents.
And if you want to see something really great, check out this guy. He's just trying to be incognito over there. So, someone's saying, please try ginger with the lavender. And I have. But I don't like the way ginger generally tastes in mead. I don't know why. It ferments a little weird. So I'm usually not about it. So this mead, for people who are coming in now, will be a lemon lavender mead. And so, after 3 months, we're going to see how it tastes. But I speculate that it's going to taste very good. The one thing that I'm interested in, and I really don't know, is how much sugar content lavender has in it. Because when yeast eats sugar, you get a higher alcohol percent. So we're going to take a reading at the very end, and we're going to see what our starting sugar to water ratio is. And then you take another reading at like 2 weeks or 3 months, and then once you measure it then, you can see how much has been consumed by the yeast, how much sugar, and you can get an accurate reading of how much alcohol content is inside of it. Red currant or black currant is delicious. Genla, I think. It's really good, and I've been meaning to make a mead with it for a while, but I've never gotten around to it. Okay, so now we're going to get some hot water, excuse me. Okay, and we're going to rehydrate our yeast, which is just essentially taking this packet and pouring it in a little cup of water. Now, I don't know if any of you probably are all around a clock right now, but if any of you know when 15 minutes is up, starting now, please write it in chat. Because I'm using my phone, which is my main form of clock. So, let me know. And then I guess I should just probably try. I really don't have a clock in me right now. what's time? Let's see. Exactly. Easy. 4:15. We're going to come back to this. So if you're using flavors, then you can probably use mint as well. Yeah, there are a lot of people who use mint, particularly some other brewers in this area who really, really like the way mint tastes in mead. And I don't blame them because I like it too. But I will say this. 2 ingredients is about as complicated as I ever really feel like getting with mead. So we have lemon and lavender in here now, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. So, but that's about as complicated as I ever want to have ingredients, because I find that while the mead is definitely tasty, it becomes a little convoluted once you add more ingredients in. Part of the reason I like drinking alcohols and teas and beers and things of that sort, right, is because at some point or another you can taste the way the brewer or the artist has made the brew with each distinct ingredient. And when you add things like red pepper and mint and 7 kinds of berries and all this different shit, I feel like the consumer loses track of the process and the touch of the artist, and that I'm not all about. So I usually don't do that. Okay, polyangely, I think. You can smoke beer and you can smoke mead, and both are really good. Actually, Evil Twin is this brewery in Brooklyn that makes a smoked Pilsner, and it's delicious. Oh, he didn't like that. And it's really, really good. So hold on a second. I'm going to turn on some more music before we keep going on here. Let's see. We'll do that. Okay. So we're back to this. Now I'm starting to see some bubbles arise, which means I think we're at about as hot as we want to get for this. So I think I'm gonna cut this loose right now. And before I do though, I'm gonna need to do something else. So putting you on the olive oil rack. Hold on one second. You play now. There we go. Okay. So I need to see where that lid went. If I can't find it, I'm going to need to use the cheesecloth. And I don't know where Doug put the cheesecloth. So we'll find out. But I'll answer some questions in the meantime. Can you do a bun tutorial? Like a butt tutorial? Yeah, I don't think so. Nice try. No, you can't have Magnus. Magnus is mine. And he only loves me. That's the God honest truth. He doesn't like anybody else. Sorry. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Let's see. We gotta have some cheesecloth. Hold tight. Perfect. Eureka! Okay. So I'm adding the filter into this. We're going to scoop out our lemons, if we can. Whoa, it's molten. Molten lemon. Very interesting. Guys, I think this should be a delicious mead. I'm very excited about it. What made you want to do mead specifically? I wanted to do mead because it was something that appealed to me both in faith and practicality. I'm a heathen, so I was surrounded with a lot of lore about mead and stuff. and so I wanted to always brew it and try it. And there were a lot of cool old stories about it. Hello from Boston, Massachusetts. And also, I wanted to drink a lot in college, so that was one thing I started with. And then I realized as I became kind of an educated drinker, and I started to know and want to learn more about the beverage instead of just getting fucked up at frat parties, I really learned that I loved it, and I really liked doing it a lot. And it was something that I was doing throughout the entirety of my college career, and I didn't even bother looking at it as a business choice until I kind of took up, for fun, I took up a job at Kings County Distillery as an amateur distiller. So I was making Kentucky bourbon for a little bit. And so when I was making Kentucky bourbon, I learned a lot about the kind of business sides of it. I decided, you know what, I think I can do this, and I kind of went from there. So we're going now to pour this out. Wait, when did you get to go to college? The legal drinking age is 21. Well, that's just the kicker. I didn't do it legally for a long time. So, how am I going to get these lemons out? I don't like them. I know what I'll do. No, I won't do that. I think I just got to scoop them out. This is going to be tough, guys. No, it's not. Turns out it's not tough. I got them. What I should do, though, is have a trash bag on hand. No. Yes. There we go. So, what else? What else? We are going to strain it. Don't you worry. And I'm even going to try to provide an angle to show you, if I can. It might be tough. This lavender looks a lot like black rice. If someone was not looking too closely, they might just take a bite of the lavender. I wonder if there's use for lavender like that. I wonder like if you could make some kind of like smashed up, like pureed boiled lavender into some kind of bar, right? Like you crushed it together and you put honey in it and you made it into like a cracker. I bet you could do that. Maybe I will. Maybe I shall. Why is my hair so luscious? Well, it's a lot of looking in the mirror and saying you is kind, you is smart, you is special. And it's a lot more of just not washing it every day. So, that's that. And I will say that it's a little bit of genetics too. My dad has really good hair. Cole has good hair too. I'm sure you guys have noticed that. I love alcoholic drinks, passion fruit. Have you tried any? I have not tried any passion fruit alcohols, actually. Okay, so let's see if I can get an angle from which you guys can see this shit go down. I don't know, but, oh, there we go. That's a little better. Whoa. Okay, you can see this. Whew. You're not going to be able to see inside of it. It's too hard. Liam, you've been asking this question a lot. Liam asks, am I gay? Sorry, Liam. I'm not. But you'll find your soulmate sometime soon. How do you describe your style? I don't know. It's pretty lazy. I don't wash my clothes very often, so I like to use them once and then be done with it. And someone asked, what's heathen? Heathen is a faith, and I ascribe to it. And the rest you can always look up. Okay, here goes. Woo. Well, I just got a steam bath. That's for sure. Woo. But it smells great. So, now you can see it straining, but there's the color of our mead. And so we are going to have probably a nice light pink mead, and when it all clears up, we'll have probably something very delicious, judging by the smell. Jacob Bolzen asks, any future acting plans? Yeah. So I was saying earlier, I'm on a diet right now, and I'm going to CrossFit 5 times a week because I gotta get super ripped for a movie soon. And then I have something in January, and I have something in late September. So now that the meadery is in a good place, I decided to kind of really re-emerge myself into acting. So soon, yeah, soon. But this is amidst all of that, right? Is that this is kind of like, for me, drinking and making mead is a really kind of strong passion of mine. So that's what I'm trying to do for now, at least. So you guys can see the leftovers down here. It's all the old lavender and the steam rising off. Ah, beautiful. That's fuck, that's hot. Let's taste a little bit of that. Strong, actually. So I'm glad I didn't leave it in for primary fermentation. What we could have done is, instead of making a tea out of it, we could have left it in for 2 weeks, just kind of steeping in a tea bag, essentially. And that would have produced a very different flavor, and I don't generally like to do that. So, yeah. It does look a little bit like worms. You're not wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to actually just probably shake that right back out into there and wash this thoroughly. Whew, that is hot as hell. Yikes. Okay, we're back. Could cranberry mead be a terrible idea? I don't know, Priscilla, you should try it. I've had a cranberry mead before and it was pretty bad, but I thought actually it was the person who made the mead that was bad. I don't think it was actually the ingredients. Is honey non-perishable? How does it ferment? In terms of perishable, yes. It's not, well, so it's non-perishable, yes, but it definitely does decline in value over a long time. It'll crystallize, and the sugars inside of it will kind of separate, and that changes its chemical composition a lot, and the flavor goes down. And in terms of how it ferments, it is pretty terribly. Generally, honey is a very, very slow fermentation, which is okay. That's why I usually like to wait about 3 months generally, and go from there. What's the difference between mead and wine? Well, it's funny because I guess it's a misnomer a little bit. They're both wine, but wines, or red wine or white wine, obviously its primary ingredient is grapes, whereas mead's primary ingredient is honey. So generally we use honey the most. Does mead taste anything like feet because you said it's like honey wine? It doesn't taste anything like feet. Although I showed you that weird ingredient list that I might add later, which is just garlic and mushrooms to another mead. That one might taste like feet a little bit. So, we'll see. Okay, so the rest of our job now is to just fill this guy up with water. And is it 4:15 yet? 13, 2 minutes. So actually, you know what? We can just add that in now. Doesn't matter. So we're adding in our yeast, which is obviously very important. The yeast is what's going to eat all the sugar content in this lovely mead of ours. And eventually, it'll be what makes our alcohol. So we are going to, now you can see it's down here, and we are just going to take the sink and spray it right into the funnel. And that's another blessing of New York City, by the way, which is part of why I wanted to do it in New York City, Allwise particularly, is because there's no better tap water, food grade tap water, pretty much in the United States. New York City has very, very good tap water in general. So we knew that we had to do it here. California's water sucks. And for any Californians out there, you probably know. It's really shitty quality. So It's very hard, has a lot of minerals in it, and so it's not the best for brewing, and we save quite a amount of money on our water bill. So, 15 minutes are up. Thank you. We are going to now start adding in the rest of our water here. And I'm going to eyeball it. Very soon, in 2 weeks, we are going to have probably a nice lavender lemon mead. So, that's that. Uh-oh, I spilled a little wine. Can you open a tea shop? Nah, probably not. That's not my thing. Are you going to ship internationally? Eventually, yeah. So we're working on securing a distributor right now, which would mean that would depend on, or that would obviously dictate who we sell to. Our goal is to try and be in Japan and try and be in London first, in terms of international. So we'll go from there. Yeah, Europe has really good tap water. So Berlin, I'm sure, is great, because everything in Berlin seems pretty great. Okay, what else? So that seems to be the amount of water we want. Now we want to shake the baby again. What does your family think about your passion? Well, both my dad and my brother are pretty stoked on making alcohol. They like that a lot. So Cole especially, I have a feeling I'm going to have to kick out of the bar because he's going to be a mooch and not ever pay for drinks, which is not going to happen, by the way. So, okay, now we're going to put the stopper in, and we are going to shake the baby, which is to mix this all up. Can we order the mead we want, make you want today? No, I don't think so, because in order to sell mead, you need to get it chemically tested, you need to do a bunch of stuff. So the stuff that you're watching me do right now is just experimentation and for fun. However, there will be eventually we will have a membership group for people in New York who want to come on down and taste test monthly experimental batches, but you would need to like literally sign a waiver to do it, which is dumb. But it just has to say, hey, I'm aware that these aren't chemically tested and so on and so forth. I mean, then again, I don't think we're making anything scary, so you should be fine, but at the same time, it's just, it's illegal, a bunch of legal bullshit. Is it expensive to make mead? Yeah, mead is actually a pretty expensive drink to make. Beer is really, really cheap, and honey is the reason it's so expensive, because honey's very expensive. Okay, so I am going to shake the baby now. And this is shaking the baby. Whew. I think that worked. We can do that a little more. Okay. Whew, fuck. That's heavy as fuck. So, that's shaking the baby. Yeah, you can Giphy that if you want. Let's clean up a little bit. Got a little blast. Magnus, what are you doing? And now is another important part of what we have to do, which is essentially just take notes. Right? It's very important that you document all this stuff pretty thoroughly, because when it comes to notes and time and how things fermented, you want to be able to look back. Look at this pig right here. Trying to get all the mead that was spilled already off the floor, huh? What a silly guy. It's important that you know every detail of what you did. So okay. Lemon lavender mead. Straight to the point, right? And the date is, what is it today? Is it the 1st? Or is it the 2nd? Can someone tell me? I don't want to look it up. Is it the 1st of September? I know that it's the 1st? Okay, cool. Okay. And we used 5 gallons of water. Easy. Done. We also used, how many did we use? We used 3.5 lemons. 3 1/2 lemons. Let me grab a new pencil real quick. Oh, sorry, Magnus. We used 3.5 lemons. Dude, both of my pencils are being assholes right now. And we boiled those into a tea with our 2 ounces of lavender, with the intention to eventually have mead. Come on. So, while I'm doing this, are there any questions? Let's see. What is the percentage of alcohol in the mead that you make? Generally, the percentage is around like 12%. But sometimes it can spike, depending on the actual sugar content in your ingredients. So, why am I not in my PJs? How do you know I'm not? I could be. I could be in my onesie under all this. Okay, lemons. Alright, this is fucking driving me crazy, so I'm gonna need a pen. Excuse me, pen, where are you? What do all flavors of mead need to complement honey? No, but generally they should. They don't need to, of course. 3 lemons squeezed and left to boil in tea for 5 minutes. 2 ounces lavender in tea. 12 pounds goldenrod honey. 5G packet Lalvin 71B1122 is the yeast that we use. And that yeast in general is a very mild yeast. It consumes a lot of acid, so it always leaves something tasting a little sweeter, which for the amount of low honey that we use is generally what we want. So, I'll tell you something. Wait, someone just asked me. Kim, Trin, you should probably go to bed. Because the truth is that I hate man buns. And I have long hair, but I just despise them. If I ever wear my hair, it's usually down. And if absolutely necessary, it's up in a ponytail. Or it's like Geralt of Rivia has it, where it's like kind of half pony, you know? I just don't look as cool as he does, though. I think you gotta be an old man with a beard. So, would you call yourself the Bill Nye of mead? You know, I used to love Bill Nye for a long time, but then he released that show recently. He kind of just seemed like a conceited asshole. So, I don't know. I hope not. But I hope I'm like the old Bill Nye. Okay, so now we're going to take a chemical reading. We are going to use tools. Okay, so this is called an auto siphon. It's what we use here at home. And just a little bit will do ya. But you pump it. You pump it into a container, like so. And hold on, be right back. You can see the tip of my head. Perfect. So, actually, interestingly enough, business partners and I have been talking for a long time about potentially turning what we do into potentially like a documentary series or something. So, keep tuned for something interesting like that. Wow, that's still very hot. Okay. Finally, oh, that is still very wet. I don't know why I bothered to put this up on the highest fucking shelf. Oh, you can see my butt. Don't look. I'm just a gamer girl. Don't flirt with me, silly boys. Hee hee. Okay. Here we go. Show you this right now. This, not the coffee, but this weird container. This is how you test your sugar to alcohol ratio. And so, right now, we are sitting pretty high. I know, no, that's about right. Wonder if the honey mixed well enough. Well, I'll give it a shake up soon. But that was very close. It was like I opened front camera. But we're looking at about 1.65 in general, which is not bad. I am using a hydrometer. That's exactly what I'm using. Yeah. There's also a thermometer, is something you can use. But yeah, I am. Look at the screen. Do you have a tattoo? Yeah, I do. I have one tattoo. It's around the ring of my butthole, and it says it's like the One Ring command from Lord of the Rings. So it's one ring to rule them all. 1.5.5, 1.055. Is it bad that you're teaching kids how to make alcohol? I'm not teaching you anything. I know. Anything that you learn is on your own accord. I'm just live streaming. Okay, so we've done the test. Let's see. That's done. Magnus is asleep again. Good work. And we can add this. Now that we've seen that, okay, so it's at 1.7, which is kind of low, actually. I was expecting a higher sugar content, but it's kind of low. And I don't know whether or not that's because it was not mixed well enough or something of that sort. I'll save the stream. I'll save it for a little while after this. If you want to rewatch it, you can. So, we added that back. And I will say that that is probably the end of the stream. Guys, we made the mead. And just go over it very briefly again. We started out boiling our honey, not boiling the honey, but boiling the water and adding the honey to the water, mixing that together, pouring it in the fermenter, tasting some of the weird ingredients, and then we decided to add in some squash blossoms to the water, boil those up, get a little bit of that flavor. Then we added lemons to a tea, 3 lemons, 2 ounces of lavender, and it coalesced into this. It's about 5 gallons of mead. Lemon, lavender, squash blossom mead. That will be ready in approximately 3 months, give or take. for my consumption and friends' consumption exclusively. Right now. Maybe in the future. If it's really good, I'll give you guys an update and you'll hear about it. But for now, so long. Thank you guys for watching, and keep up to date because we're going to be opening soon in the next couple of months in Brooklyn. Peace.